Hi, my name is Hailey Scott, and I will be discussing the psychological dangers in participatory theater. I began my research not knowing that I was even beginning my research. A quick trip to New York City landed me in the lobby of Punch Drunk's Sleep No More, a 3-hour immersive theater piece. I spent hours wandering through the beautifully designed 6-story warehouse by myself, touching props, eating candies, and watching the actors perform just inches away from me. I walked through the hidden corners of the hotel and wandered down a street to find a lonely actor. Noticing my approach, the actor slowly reached out his hand to me. I was quickly yanked into a funeral parlor with the swift slam of a door and a turn of a lock. Before I had time to process what was happening, the actor and I were alone. He barricaded the door and pulled down the window shutters and slowly led me to a back room. Another lock. Then he took off my mask. Was I in real danger? Was this a part of the show? He caressed my hands and face and fashioned a necklace around my neck. As I turned to leave, he grabbed me by my shoulders, kissed me on the forehead, and pushed me back out onto the street. In any other setting, entering a locked room with a strange man I met in an alley would leave me with trauma, but I wanted to do it all over again. It's easy to identify when physical harm has been done. It can be seen and felt by both the observer and the subject. There's a simple dichotomy. Either a harm has been done or it's not. However, psychological harms can be harder to identify, even if you're the one being harmed. Luckily, I left feeling giddy, but someone else could have left feeling traumatized. How could the same performance lead to drastically different responses? So, this leads me to my research question. Where are the psychological dangers in participatory theater, and how can we make them safe for audience participants? So, where do we start? First, we must understand how emotions are constructed, as well as how danger can be both thrilling and harmful. I will then explore Antonin Artaud's theater of cruelty theory, as well as a new theory called theater of care. Finally, I will then propose practical safeguards for artists to implement without sacrificing their artistic intent. Welcome to Hailey's Psych 101. Emotions are not reactions to the world. They're your constructions of the world. Beginning in infancy, when you feel an emotion, think fear, the brain then captures the events, sights, sounds, tastes, and physical sensations to understand what fear is and why you feel that way. Emotions are dependent on the individual's past experiences, language, culture, and social expectations. That means my construction of fear is different from yours as a result of our upbringing. Our perception of danger can be categorized into 3 different zones: safety, danger, and trauma. The safety zone is where we feel completely safe in our environment. The danger zone is where we feel like we could get hurt in our environment. And the trauma zone is where we have experienced physical or psychological harm. To understand which zone we're in, we possess something called a protective frame. It's a psychological boundary that warns us when we are about to transition from the danger zone to the trauma zone. Think of it as that funny feeling in your tummy when you sense something is wrong. Audiences expand their protective frame because they think they're safe. That's why I could go into a locked room with a stranger and sleep no more, but not in the streets of Kingston. I expanded my frame so I could fully engage with the art's thrill. However, trauma can still occur. Although the audience's protective frame has expanded, their ability to experience trauma is still the same, which makes it difficult to recognize when you're actually in danger. Now, let's dive into the theories. Artaud's theater of cruelty and the emerging theater of care theory handle their desired audience's experiences totally differently. However, their desired outcomes are the same: to get into the soul of their participants. Theater of cruelty emerged in the 1930s as a response to the stark conditions of the Great Depression. It was designed to mimic the real-life brutalities in the dirty 30s and create a chaotic environment where the audience was an active participant in the social commentary. Artaud wanted to scare you, but in a productive way. Unsurprisingly, theater of cruelty is riddled with psychological dangers. The lack of consent and safeguards are purposefully factored into the performance's dramaturgy and construction. Danger motivates this art. Once you purchase your ticket, you consent to the chaos. Participants are meant to teeter alongside their danger and trauma zones, sometimes leaving the performance with lasting harm. Sinking Ship Creations' Girl on the Phone tasked me with the time-sensitive job of foiling a kidnapping. Prior to the performance, I was given no information regarding safety measures. If there was a safe word, I didn't know it. The performance began when I received a text message from a distressed girl who needed help undoing handcuffs. I walked her through the process. I later consoled her over the phone when she disclosed the horrors of her kidnapping. I was fully submerged. My ability to function, or not, in this piece could have resulted in this character's death. The chaotic environment created by the artist could have easily pushed an innocent audience member into their danger or trauma zone. Theater of care gained popularity during the COVID-19 lockdown. Walking a fine line between theater and personal service, think a therapy session, receiving a massage, or even engaging in sex work. This theory relies on audiences disclosing their emotional vulnerabilities. This intimate art form doesn't mean to push the boundaries like theater of cruelty. Instead, it's designed to be a welcoming space tailored to your personal needs. The problem with theater of care is that it mimics the safe and regulated environment of personal services. It exploits the goodwill and trust generated by professional wellness services to the benefit of the theater company, without dedicating time and resources to legitimately achieve the same standard of certification, training, or safeguards. It relies on manipulating audience vulnerabilities by making them feel as if they're in a safe space, but nothing is implemented to ensure their actual safety. Audiences are put in a vulnerable and dangerous situation to be cared for by someone conducting performance art, not therapy. Adrian Howell's The Pleasure of Being, Washing, Feeding, Holding is a one-on-one participatory theater piece where participants undress, are bathed by Howell, wrapped in a robe and cuddled, and then fed chocolate. Performances have a hierarchy, where the artist has more social power than the audience. Although the performer is paid to provide an entertainment service, they are ultimately in control of the action. Howell's show is entirely dependent on the participants' physical and psychological cooperation. Consent is ongoing, but there's an expectation to say yes to progress the performance. Although Howell's performance is designed to pamper the participant, the teetering between performance and counterfeit personal service creates an environment where harm is hidden behind the promise of care. Because everyone experiences emotion differently, there is no universal implementation of safety that will eradicate psychological harm. However, services that might foster a safer space include mental health first aid, pamphlets for external psychological help, trigger warnings, informed consent, safe spaces away from the action, check-ins following the performance, and methods of offering immediate assistance integrated into the performance. Although theater of cruelty and theater of care are prominent theories in the world of theater, it's important for practitioners to first understand how emotions function, the intentions of these theories, opportunities for danger, and how danger can be remedied to foster a safe theatrical environment. Thank you.